Tonight on CFTK-TV News, MLA Eleanor Sturckow strikes out as an independent, customers complain about Air Canada's backlogged compensation, and the feds implement a firearm buyback program.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. MLA Eleanor Sturckow now finds herself an independent, and CTV's Rob Buffum caught up with Sturckow to see what's next for her and next for the party.
Eleanor Sturckow enters her new digs as an independent after getting kicked out of the Conservative caucus.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
The bombshell happened just before a tense caucus meeting Monday to address Rusted's leadership and the results of a review where he won 70% support, but faces ongoing questions about inappropriate party membership sign-ups. Sturckow says she's not sure what the future holds for her, including whether she'd form a new party.
Wish I had a crystal ball, then I would know.
She says she's encouraging her now former colleagues to boot John Rusted out as leader.
Think about who you want to lead this party into the next election and do what you need to do to make sure that the party has the strongest possible leadership.
Former colleagues generally towing the party line. Trevor Halford says Sturckow is his friend, but he supports Rusted as leader.
British Columbians are really depending on us to have a strong voice in there and making sure we're holding this government to account.
But below the surface, it's not all smooth sailing. One caucus member told me today that as many as 9 MLAs would like to see Rusted step down. 2 spoke out at last night's meeting, and they themselves are seriously considering leaving the party.
Hard to say with regards to what's happened. I mean, Eleanor Sturckow, by her own admission, was going out and trying to recruit people to try to force me to resign.
The tensions, shades of those experienced by the BC United and its leader Kevin Falcon, trying to keep a centre-right party intact.
The vehicle that carries the right has to be a coalition of some sort. That coalition is fractious. They don't necessarily get along.
This was Sturckow last June when she left BC United for the Conservatives.
If you are the leader of a coalition, you have one job. And that job is to bring people together and keep people together. And Kevin Falcon failed at that job.
Fast forward to today.
I joined this party to help unite the right. That was the idea. But under John Rusted's leadership, the right is more splintered than it's ever been.
Having survived a leadership review, Rusted hopes her words aren't prophetic.
Robert Buffum, CTV News.
Emily Lowen, a 25-year-old climate activist, is the new leader of the British Columbia Green Party. Lowen won on the first ballot with 3,189 votes, ahead of second-place Jonathan Kerr with 1,908 votes, while Adam Brenmer-Atkins finished third with 128 votes. She doesn't have a place in the legislature yet, but she plans to run in the next viable by-election or in the next general election. Lowen says the Greens will become a force of nature and promises that it will be a bold and critical opposition party. She says her decisive mandate is a clear message that the party needs to do something differently. Former leader Sonia Furstenau lost her bid for re-election in last year's election and stepped down from the post in January. Coming up next, Air Canada customers still awaiting compensation. Air Canada is back in action, but is reportedly backlogged with claims for reimbursement and more frustrated customers. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
Air Canada is back in the air, though some passengers say their claims remain grounded.
They want you to give up, I would say.
Nova Scotian Cindy Burns' summer trip with her sister and parents to Ontario ended in frustration when their Air Canada flight home was cancelled.
They tried to rebook us on over 120 carriers, but they couldn't find any flights for us.
Though a quick look online, and Burns was able to book a flight home on WestJet. It cost her $5,400 out of pocket. Under passenger protection regulations, Air Canada should have been the one booking and footing the bill for the next available flight home for the Burns family.
I need to try and get this money back as soon as possible, right?
The country's largest airline says it's still working through more than 54,000 customer claims. CTV News has heard from multiple passengers who say their cases have been marked resolved, even though they haven't received their reimbursement.
Passengers have been having difficulty submitting their claims to Air Canada, both for reimbursement for expenses incurred and for compensation under the European Union's rules.
You're doing yourself a lot of damage if you don't behave fairly towards your customers.
The Offer family say they've been going back and forth with the airline since their holiday to Canada from the UK went sideways after their flight home was cancelled. They've received some compensation, but not all.
They're refusing to pay for my husband's lost wages.
It is owed under Article 19 of the Montreal Convention for passengers traveling internationally.
The Canadian Transportation Agency says an investigation is currently underway with respect to the Air Canada summer labour disruptions. Air Canada tells us that claims are expected to take between 4 to 6 weeks to process, and that the sudden August shutdown at airports like here at Pearson International have led to a significant backlog. Adrian Gobro, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
In New York, the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly continues. Yesterday, Prime Minister Mark Carney co-chaired an event with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky focused on Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. CTV's Judy Trin was there.
At the United Nations, the Prime Minister and President Vladimir Zelensky called for the return of thousands of Ukrainian children taken by Russia.
Putin has stolen Ukrainian children.
Russia first abducted them and deported them.
Together with our allies. The most emotional pleas came from their wives. Diana Fox Carney making her first international speech alongside her husband.
As a mother, I simply cannot fathom the horror. What these children have endured is more than unjust, it is inhumane.
Their identities are changed, their ties severed, their hopes destroyed.
Canada said it's investing in AI technology to help find the Ukrainian children. Only about 1,600 children have been returned to their families. In his address to the General Assembly, President Donald Trump spoke of his frustrations with the continuing war.
It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
Earlier this summer, during a meeting with Vladimir Putin, Trump hand-delivered a letter from the First Lady calling for the return of the children. Her efforts were acknowledged by Mark Carney in front of European leaders.
We welcome the recent powerful appeal to President Putin by the First Lady of the United States to consider the plight of children in ending this war.
This is an area of common ground between Carney and Trump at a moment when Canada is breaking with the U.S. in recognizing the state of Palestine. Judy Trin, CTV News, New York.
In the first time in nearly 8 years, a Canadian Prime Minister has met with the Chinese leader. Earlier today, Prime Minister Mark Carney sat down with China's Premier in his most important bilateral meeting at the United Nations so far. CTV's Judy Trin reports on what stakes are involved.
A handshake with the second most powerful man in China, Premier Li Qiang. It comes as Canada and China are locked in a tariff battle over canola and electric vehicles. Next month, Foreign Minister Anita Anand will visit China, laying the groundwork for a top-level meeting.
Those discussions will deepen. I will expect at the appropriate time to be meeting with President Xi Jinping, but continuing this dialogue with the Premier.
But this warming of trade relations could result in more tensions with the U.S. President Donald Trump wants its allies to do less trade with China. He also said that Canada's recognition of Palestine could impact a trade deal.
We have an independent foreign policy. We make decisions that are consistent with our values.
It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
But at the United Nations Leaders Week, common ground is being found on Ukraine. Trump is changing his tone on Russia.
Do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
After his bilateral meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, Trump posted on social media that he believes Ukraine is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form without ceding land to Russia. The Prime Minister did not rule out sending troops to help guarantee the security of Ukraine. Carney also left open the door for Canada to be part of a stabilization force in Gaza once a ceasefire and a two-state solution is negotiated.
Next, let's take a look at your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect conditions to be cloudy. Periods of rain beginning this evening. Winds from the southeast at 20 kilometers an hour, gusting to 40, except gusting to 60 over exposed coastal sections late this evening and overnight, a low of 10 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect some pretty steady rain until Sunday, when you'll get a mix of sun and clouds. Daily highs 11 to 13 degrees, overnight lows 6 to 10 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expected to be mainly cloudy, a 60% chance of showers overnight, winds from the south at 20 kilometers an hour, becoming light late this evening, a low of 7 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect more rain through the weekend, then a mix of sun and clouds on Sunday. Daily highs 8 to 12 degrees, overnight lows between 1 and 7 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect increasing cloudiness, a 60% chance of showers overnight, and a low of +4 with frost. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect some showers and overcast skies, then maybe some sun on Saturday. Daily highs 12 to 13 degrees, overnight lows 3 to 5 degrees. Now let's check your roads and highways around the Northwest. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect. Also bridge maintenance, construction work, utility work, mowing, and paving operations underway. On Highway 37, watch for construction work as well as bridge construction and maintenance. On Highway 37A, watch for a section with falling rocks as well as bridge maintenance. On the Niska Highway, there's mowing going on. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, the feds implement a firearm buyback program. Yesterday's TSX numbers that topped an unanticipated number had investors celebrating. CTV's John Venevalley-Rao explains.
As the stock market opened in Toronto, there was a reason for investors to cheer, with the country's main index briefly crossing the 30,000 mark, a milestone few expected would be touched this year.
There's a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm in the market.
Another rough day for the markets. The sell-off is getting worse.
It all stands in stark contrast to the global market meltdown 6 months ago, when the U.S. president started his trade wars, sending stocks plunging. But after hitting a low on April 8th, the TSX has gone up an impressive 33%, and some think it's not done.
You might see a bit of a pullback in the next few months, but over the next 12 to 24 months, I mean, it's definitely going higher.
This all may seem counterintuitive, given the tariff turmoil, unemployment on the rise, and worries about the economy. But in part, the Canadian markets are benefiting from strength in energy along with precious metals. Many gold producers are listed on the TSX, and that yellow metal is up 45% this year because of geopolitical and inflation concerns.
Right now we're seeing, I think, a lot of concerns about world economic stability.
Compared to the U.S. markets, Canadian stocks also hadn't seen as big of a run-up prior to this year, so may have looked more attractive to investors. Among the Canadian companies on the rise, online retailer Shopify is up 36% so far this year, TD Bank up 42%, clothing maker Aritzia up 63%, while tech company Celestica is up 165%. As for where things go from here, some think with interest rates going down, it could drive the markets even higher. John Benavalli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Today, the federal government announced implementation plans for the gun buyback program, starting with a 6-week pilot project in Nova Scotia before opening up nationwide eligibility later this fall. As CTV's Rachel Aiello explains, the Liberals say this will allow them to test the process. But today, it was the minister responsible who was tested, as he struggled to publicly defend the contentious compensation program that he's privately questioned.
Have you not failed at the task of getting this moving faster?
Absolutely not.
The public safety minister faced tough questions today as he unveiled the next phase of the federal firearm buyback.
The opening of the program to individual owners.
A program that he questioned the enforceability of in audio of a secretly recorded conversation leaked just yesterday.
I have absolute confidence in this program.
Why did you say what you said? Minister Gary Anandasangri said the context of his comments were that he wanted the buyback implemented differently and faster. But as the program stands, firearms owners have well into 2026 to comply, and big questions remain about police resources.
I don't think this is going to work.
After a test run in Cape Breton, owners nationwide of the more than 2,000 makes and models of firearms the Liberals have outlawed will be contacted with instructions on how to participate. Those seeking compensation will either be able to turn their firearms over to local police after scheduling a time online, or keep them after proving they've been deactivated by a licensed gunsmith.
We anticipate a fairly high uptick.
But critics aren't sold and are now calling on the minister to resign.
On Monday, a minister says that his program won't work. On Tuesday, he says he's going ahead with the program. When will the Prime Minister fire this minister?
Asking about the audio controversy and if he still has confidence in his minister, Prime Minister Mark Carney said yes, adding that Anandasangri is doing important work fulfilling an election promise.
Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index finished in negative territory, weighed down by the financial sector, while U.S. stock markets edged lower. The Canadian dollar fell 0.3 cents. The price of gold dropped $47.60. Oil gained $1.98. Natural gas was up 28 cents. Aluminum dropped $21. In Toronto, the TSX fell nearly 59 points. The Venture Index rose by 2 points. In New York, the Nasdaq lost 76 points, and the Dow dropped almost 172 points. Still ahead, Jimmy Kimmel's triumphant return. There has been another temporary reprieve for the almost 400 ostriches that were expected to be culled after a last-minute stay from the Supreme Court of Canada. The High Court stopped the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's stamping out policy over avian flu in the flock until the application for leave to appeal is dismissed, or if it's granted until the court rules on the case. Word came just as the owners and a group of supporters had finished praying, and the farm's co-owner says she's overjoyed by the news. A lawyer for Universal Ostrich Farms says the CFIA will stay at the site and maintain custody of the ostriches until the rulings are made. And it was a triumphant return to set for Jimmy Kimmel after being pulled off the air for a week following his comments on how President Donald Trump reacted to the shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Here's a look at Kimmel's first show back.
Walking out to a thunderous standing ovation, Jimmy Kimmel returning to late night TV after a week off the air.
Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying before I was interrupted.
Kimmel's show was suspended amid apparent threats from the Trump administration following the host's comments last Monday about the ideology of the alleged shooter in Charlie Kirk's murder. Growing emotional, Kimmel now clarifying his remarks.
I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. For those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
But Kimmel was also back telling jokes, taking a jab at President Trump.
You almost have to feel sorry for him. He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly.
After the taping of the show, President Trump weighing in, blasting ABC's decision to put Kimmel back on the air, saying his talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny? In a statement, Disney said Kimmel's show had been suspended to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. Kimmel shedding light on what happened behind the scenes.
I was not happy when they pulled me off the air on Wednesday. I did not agree with that decision, and I told them that, and we had many conversations.
The host also thanked those who came out to support him, including his fans, his fellow late-night hosts, and even voices on the right.
Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway.
But not everyone was able to watch. Nexstar and Sinclair, media groups that own dozens of local ABC affiliates, are still not broadcasting Jimmy Kimmel Live. Kimmel using his opening monologue to defend free speech.
Look, I never imagined I would be in a situation like this. I barely paid attention in school. But one thing I did learn from Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and Howard Stern is that a government threat to silence a comedian the president doesn't like is anti-American. That's anti-American.
Fall is here, and for some, that means the countdown to Halloween is on. And as CTV's Merrick Cash reports, one family isn't wasting any time getting their setup ready.
Dave Awanek is building his latest Halloween creation, a haunted castle standing 7 feet tall on his front lawn.
Well, it was about end of August where the wife and I were discussing Halloween and how we did the pirate ship 2 years ago and how we had to try and top it.
Hundreds of people came by to check out the pirate ship in 2023. This year, the Awanek family wants to go bigger and better.
Well, the width is 16 feet wide. The length of the castle itself is 20 feet wide, not including the spools, so probably about 23 feet long.
The whole family, including Dave's mother, has been pitching ideas for the castle.
Children get very excited around here. They can hardly wait till it's finished.
And the neighborhood has been noticing.
It's a lot of work. We've had a lot of people drive by and take pictures.
Every year we're trying to figure out, as they're building it, what we're gonna see. So it's a game we play with the kids of like guessing of what's going on next.
She made her guess a few weeks ago as the pillars were going up.
We thought this one was gonna be a church. That was our first guess, but it's pretty awesome, and I think it's topping the pirate so far.
Dave and his family hope to have the finishing touches put on the castle by October 1st.
And then just getting all the decorations put up also on the inside too.
Merrick Cash, CTV News, Edmonton.
That's our news for now. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.